Good morning, boys and girls. Since I have been talking about poetry and reading poetry to you through our read alouds, I wanted to talk about figurative language. Figurative language is in most poetry, and I wanted to talk to you about the elements that are in poetry. So the first thing I want to show you is some of the things that are in figurative language, some of the elements in figurative language, like similes and metaphors, and personification, hyperboles, onomatopoeias, and alliteration. I've talked to you a little bit about onomatopoeias before we left for the break, but let me read you some of the definitions. A simile is when you compare two things, but you're using like or as. My brothers are as loud as cymbals clanging together. You're comparing brothers and your brothers and cymbals, and you're using the words like or as. But a metaphor is when you're comparing two things and they're not alike, a baby and a bundle of joy, but you're saying they're like each other, but you're not using like or as. So that's how they're different. You're comparing two things, but in a simile you're using like or as, metaphor you're not using them, those two words. And hyperbole is an exaggeration. I felt as if I walked a million miles to school. Well, you definitely didn't walk a million miles to school, but it felt like that to you, so it's an exaggeration. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a million years. Obviously, it hasn't been a million years, but it sure feels like that. Personification. That is when you give something that is not living qualities of human qualities, like the sun smiled down on me. The river was running through the woods. Rivers, well, they do run, but they don't run with feet. So there's things that you can give that poets usually give human qualities to things that are not living, like rocks or rivers or trees. The trees wave to me. They can't really wave like we can, but they can sway in the wind and look like they're waving to us. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the same initial consonant sound, same beginning. He helped her hurt. Helped her hurt, head, heal. Kind of hard to say. It's kind of like tongue twisters. A lot of times they'll do that. In Captain Underpants, I've noticed that the titles that he puts on his books are always alliteration. The preposterous, potty, something. They always have the beginnings of the titles are always alliteration. Onomatopoeias, that's the one I tell you I like that word. I like to say it. Those are words that sound like they suggest their meanings. The snowball whoosh past my ear. It makes that sound when you say it. Like pow, bam, tap. We've talked about those those sounds. So I'm going to talk about those, and I'm going to show you another resource I found, and give you more examples. For example, in alliteration, voracious volcanoes vibrated the valley very violently. You see how it's repeating the V sound? That's alliteration. Hyperbole is an exaggeration. I know you waited a million light years to learn about hyperbole. I know you didn't wait a million light years, but that's a long time. The next one is onomatopoeia. It's a word that originates from the sound, like neigh is associated with the noise that the horse makes, and ding dong is what the noise that the doorbell makes. Honk is what the noise of a car horn makes. You have splat and splash is another example. Personification. The stars are smiling and winking at us. They can't do that because only human beings and animals can do things like that, right? And the last one are similes and metaphors. I can get to them. Sorry. A metaphor is where they're for example, this one is she is happy. She is a happy clam, or a simile is she is happy as a clam. That's using the as metaphors. Don't use it.